Hello everyone, I'm Colin Canet. If you're following my channel, you'll know that very often I'm using ready rod and these special little bolts when I'm making jigs, and I need to cut them off and trim them to length. And today I've decided I'm going to turn my angle grinder into a little cutoff tool to make it much handier. So let's get started. So this is how it's going to look when it gets on the base plate, which is the bottom dark wood here. And there's where the hinges will be laid out. Now what I need to do, because I'm going to be clamping it with these hose clamps, what I need to do now is to lay out a couple of lines along here, because I'm going to put a couple of little slots in here so that I can feed these through. Now the way this plate's going to work, it will flip over like this, and these springs will sort of be flipped, so they'll go like that, and the whole thing will flip over like that. Now what I need to do now is to align it, and I want to make sure that these spring hinges are as far over as I can get them. All right, now next thing I need to do is reline this up again so that I know where those screws need to go for that flip plate. Now I've decided that I want to put some little feet on this thing, so I'm just going to flip this over, and all they are just some plywood cutoffs, but they'll elevate that base up a little bit, so that'll be good. Okay, I'm fighting these springs a lot here, so it's time to put a little bit of chain on there so that I can put a stop on that from moving up and down like it's doing. There we go. That's better. Okay, it's a lot easier to feed those clamps through them too. Okay, now you can see that they're rounded like this. What I'm going to do, I should be able to do it while they're still in there, and that's to just kind of position them, but I want to put a little kink in them, and it's very much like this. Just put a little bit of a kink in, and you have to be careful because these things can snap, but that way it'll sit much nicer in this. But I want to position this, first of all, just to kind of see where these bolts are going to be positioned on the top side, and I think I can just do that by there we go. There we go. That's better. Okay, so those are all nice and flat underneath. Let's take a moment. And you always, of course, you always want to make sure that this grinder is not plugged in, because you don't want it to turn on inadvertently while you're working on it. Okay. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to put a little block in there, because now that I see where that is going, now I don't want this to move around in here, and I want it to clear that base just a little bit. Now I need to install a stopper, and I've got a couple of marks there where the blade sort of plunges the most, and I think if I put that right about there, I'm just going to take a second here and draw a nice straight line, and then I can align that up with that. Here's one more opportunity you could learn from my mistake. I made this base a little bit too long. Now I can still easily cut it off, but I'm going to go ahead with this cut anyway. It's just that if it was a little bit shorter, it would be easier to put the clamp on here. So anyway, it's all plugged in. We're ready to go. Let's turn the angle grinder on and see how this works. That'll probably still be hot, but yeah, that works just perfect. Well, that concludes my video for today, making a cutoff tool using my angle grinder. And in my case, I only have a 4.5-inch angle grinder. If I had a 5 or even a little bit bigger, it would be even better. But for what I'm doing, cutting off ready rod and bolts and heads from bolts and things like that from time to time, this will be a perfect little addition to the tool. And it's pretty quick and easy to take it off so that I can use it on other things too. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for being with me today.